I'm 76, and I made a mistake I can't take back. When you're 76, people assume you've got life all figured out. But let me tell you something. Even after a lifetime of experience, you can still make a mistake that changes everything. For me, that mistake was moving into assisted living. At first, it seemed like the smart thing to do. My son kept saying, "Dad, you've done enough. Let them take care of you now." He meant well. He wanted me safe. And I was tired. Tired of shopping, tired of cooking, tired of waking up alone in a quiet house. So I said yes. I packed up my life, my books, my favorite coffee mug, and I walked into a place that promised security, comfort, and community. But here's what no one told me. It's not just a move. It's a surrender. A surrender of the little things you don't realize matter until they're gone. Your rhythm, your privacy, your freedom, even your voice. I don't say this to scare you. I say it because maybe you, or someone you love, is standing right where I stood, thinking about making this choice. Maybe it feels like the safe path, the responsible one, and maybe it is. But before you take that step, I want you to hear the whole story. Because I wish someone had told me what I'm about to tell you. These are the 7 things I regret the most about moving into assisted living. Some of them might surprise you. Some of them might sound all too familiar. But all of them are real. And if this video helps even one person pause, reflect, or find another way, then telling my story will have been worth it. Let's begin. Regret number 1. I didn't know you could disappear while still being seen. They told me I'd be surrounded by people. And I was. People in the hallway. People in the common room. People sitting next to me at lunch. Sometimes talking about the weather. Sometimes just staring ahead. But here's the truth no one warned me about. You can be seen every day and still feel invisible. Back when I lived in my house, I wasn't lonely. I had neighbors who waved when I stepped outside. I had a grocery clerk who knew my name. I had a barista who remembered that I liked 2 sugars in my coffee, and a friend across the street who stopped by just to check in. Even if I spent the day alone, I still felt known. But here, it's different. People are friendly, but they don't know who you used to be. They don't know what matters to you. They don't ask what book you're reading or what you're afraid of. They ask about your blood pressure, your bathroom habits, your next medication. And over time, you begin to shrink. You stop telling your stories because no one knows the people in them. You stop making jokes because they fall flat. You stop initiating conversations because they rarely go deeper than the lunch menu or tomorrow's bingo time. One afternoon, a young staff member helped me into the lounge and said, "There you go, Henry." I smiled and thanked her. She was kind. But inside I thought, "You don't know me. You don't know what I've lost. You don't know what I miss." I used to be more than a name on a doorplate. Now I'm one of the residents. No one did this to me on purpose. That's the saddest part. No one was cruel. No one meant harm. But this place has a way of making you disappear one layer at a time. First your neighborhood, then your routines, then your stories, and eventually, the part of you that believes you're still somebody. So if you're thinking of assisted living, ask yourself something that took me too long to understand. Can I still feel alive if no one truly sees me? Because being around people isn't the same as being connected to them. And once you stop feeling seen, you start fading, even with your eyes wide open. Regret number 2. I gave up more control than I realized. At home, my day belonged to me. I chose when to wake up. I chose when to eat. If I wanted to sit on the porch with a cup of coffee and listen to the birds for an hour before doing anything else, I did it. That little freedom, the ability to say, not yet, or maybe later, it was everything. Now, I wake up when someone knocks on my door. I eat when the dining room opens. I shower when there's an available time slot. My days aren't mine anymore. They're scheduled, portioned, and supervised. It didn't hit me right away. At first, I told myself, how nice, I don't have to cook anymore. I convinced myself it was a luxury to have someone else do the laundry, decide what's for dinner, remind me when to take my pills. But soon, I realized, when everything is decided for you, you slowly forget how to decide for yourself. One morning I asked if I could have oatmeal instead of eggs. They said, "We can't change the menu today, sorry." That's all it took. That moment, small, seemingly harmless, was when it clicked. I no longer had control over something as basic as what I put in my body. Another time, I wanted to stay up late and watch an old movie. But the common TV room closes at 9. My roommate wanted to sleep. The Wi-Fi was spotty in my room, so I turned off the light and stared at the ceiling, wide awake. What do you do when even your sleep belongs to someone else's routine? I used to choose what music to play in the morning. Now I hear what someone down the hall is blasting through thin walls. I used to open the window for fresh air. Here they're sealed shut for safety. I used to take my evening walks alone with no schedule. Now, if I want to go outside, I need someone to sign me out, and they're often busy. So I sit, and I wait, and I slowly stop asking. Because that's what happens. You start to believe that asking for what you want is a burden. You start to feel guilty for making people rearrange their day to fit yours. You stop pushing back. You stop choosing. And the most dangerous part is, you start confusing comfort with contentment. You start telling yourself that you're fine, that it's just easier this way, that you don't really need to decide anything anymore. But inside there's this quiet ache, the kind that whispers, "This isn't how I pictured the rest of my life." If you're thinking about assisted living, ask yourself this, and ask it seriously. Can I live well if I don't get to choose how I live every day? Because it's not about being dramatic. It's not about resisting help. It's about holding on to that one thing that makes you feel like your life is still your own. And once you start giving up your choices, you'll be surprised how fast your identity follows. Regret number 3. Comfort made my body weaker. I wasn't in perfect shape when I came here, but I was still doing all right. I could get around on my own. I stretched every morning. I cooked, cleaned, ran a few errands with my son once a week. My legs weren't fast, but they were mine. My hands were slower, but they were still working. I thought I'd be able to maintain that here. In fact, I thought I'd get a little stronger. After all, no more stress, no more grocery runs, no more heavy lifting, just time to rest, to take care of myself. But what I didn't realize is that the less you do, the less you can do. Here, everything is built for ease. The hallways are flat and carpeted. Meals arrive hot, soft, and pre-portioned. There are call buttons for everything. No bending, no carrying, no reaching. At first, it felt like a blessing. Then, like a trap. I remember the day I noticed it. It was something small. I bent down to tie my shoe, and my knees didn't want to bend. I lost my balance. Had to grab the arm of the chair to steady myself. I laughed at first. "Old bones," I said aloud. But deep down, I knew. This hadn't happened before. Then it was my grip. I tried to open a jar of peanut butter I'd kept in my room. I couldn't do it. Not because the jar was stuck, because my hands just didn't have it in them anymore. Then it was stairs. Then it was standing for too long. Then it was getting out of bed too quickly. All that time I thought I was relaxing. I was slowing down, piece by piece. And it's not just me. There was a man named George down the hall. When he moved in, he insisted he didn't need help. He walked laps in the courtyard, always had a joke for the nurses, did stretches before breakfast. 3 months in, I saw him less. 6 months later, he was using a walker. A year in, a wheelchair. Not because of injury, not because of illness, because he had nowhere left to walk to. That's what this place can do to you if you're not careful. It makes you stop moving, gently, silently, slowly, until your body forgets how. There's a saying, use it or lose it. But here I'd add a line. Stop using it, and you'll lose it faster than you ever thought possible. If I could go back, I would have made a rule for myself. Get up every hour. Walk every morning. Refuse the wheelchair until my legs demanded it. Ask for the stairs, not the elevator. Hold on to my strength like it was the last piece of freedom I had. So if you're considering a place like this, ask yourself, will I still have the will to move when I no longer have to? Because the moment you stop needing your body stops needing you. Regret number 4. I thought I could bring home with me. I couldn't. Before I moved in, everyone said the same thing. You can make it feel like home. Bring your favorite chair, they said. Your framed photos, your slippers, your books. Hang your art on the walls. Light a candle, if allowed. Make the space yours. So I did. I packed up what I could. My old recliner, the one with the worn-in left arm. A photo of my wife from our anniversary trip to the lake. My old flannel robe, some mugs, a few paperbacks. And for a moment, it worked. The room looked like me. It smelled a bit like me. But it wasn't me. Not really. Because home isn't just what you bring with you. It's what you leave behind. I didn't expect to miss the uneven step outside my back door, or the rusty hinges on the shed, or the way the floor creaked when I walked to the kitchen at night. I didn't expect to miss the windows, my windows, the ones I washed every spring, the ones I'd stare out of while the kettle boiled. I didn't expect to miss the silence of my home, the kind where nothing was happening, and yet everything felt right. Here, there's always sound. Footsteps in the hall, staff chatting, TVs on behind thin walls, the distant beep of call buttons. One morning, I found myself sitting in my room, holding my old coffee mug. It was the same mug I'd used for 20 years. Same chip in the handle, same warm feel in my hand. But the coffee tasted different. The silence felt hollow. The view out the window, just a parking lot and a chain-link fence. And I realized something. I didn't just miss my house. I missed the person I was in that house. I used to move through my home like a conductor, opening curtains just so, turning on the radio, choosing between the back porch and the front steps. I had habits, not schedules. I had rituals, not routines. I had ownership, not occupancy. Here, everything is just borrowed. The walls, the view, the timing of your day, even your dignity sometimes. The staff is kind, the building is clean, the furniture is soft, but none of it is mine. Not in the way that mattered. So if you're standing at that crossroads, thinking of trading your home for a facility, ask yourself, what makes my house feel like home? And more importantly, can I live without those things and still feel like myself? Because once you leave your space, you leave parts of yourself behind, and no picture frame can fully bring them back. Regret number 5. I stopped being asked what I thought. When I first moved in, I was greeted with kindness. Warm smiles, polite words, a tour of the place. They showed me the schedule, the dining room, the nurse's station. It all felt organized, safe, reassuring. But what I didn't notice at first, and what crept in quietly, was how quickly I stopped being asked what I wanted. "Henry, your meds are here." "Henry, it's lunchtime. We're doing chair yoga today. Come on down." "The doctor will see you at 2. No one asked. "Do you feel like eating right now? Would you rather stay in? Do you agree with the doctor's plan?" It's subtle at first. You think, they're just being helpful. You think, they know what they're doing. You think, it's easier not to make a fuss. But day by day, you stop speaking up. You stop questioning. You stop participating in decisions. Not because you can't, but because no one invites you to anymore. And that's how it happens. You stop being consulted, and you start being managed. I remember one afternoon, they changed my medications. Nothing major, just an adjustment, they said. I wasn't told in advance. I wasn't asked how I felt about it. They just brought the pills to my room, and I took them, like always. It wasn't until a week later, when I felt drowsier than usual, that I even realized something had shifted. And that's when it hit me. I'd been a participant in my care. Now I was just a recipient. And it's not just about health. It's in the little things. What you eat. What music plays in the lounge. What movies are scheduled. What activities are offered. When the lights go out. You learn to adapt. You say, sure. You say, okay. You say, whatever's easiest. And eventually, you forget what it felt like to say, no. Not now. I'd prefer something else. There's a kind of erosion that happens. Not of your body, but of your identity. Not all at once, but grain by grain. Each time you don't speak up. Each time no one thinks to ask. Until one day you wake up and realize, you've been quiet for so long. You're not sure what you'd say anymore. If you're thinking of moving into assisted living, ask yourself honestly, will I still feel like the author of my own life, or will I become a character in someone else's system? Because dignity doesn't vanish in big, dramatic moments. It slips away through 100 little silences, and if you're not careful, you'll realize too late that your life kept going without your voice in it. Regret number 6. I thought this was living. When I first arrived here, everyone kept saying the same thing. You're going to love it. It's so easy now. No stress, no worries. You deserve to relax. And for a while, I believed them. I mean, it sounded great. Meals prepared, laundry folded, medications on time, people checking in on me every day. No alarms going off, no errands to run, no driveway to shovel, no stove to clean. It was peaceful. But then something strange started to happen. The peace turned into stillness. The stillness turned into silence. And the silence turned into emptiness. I remember waking up one morning and thinking, what am I actually looking forward to today? The answer, nothing. Sure, there was a game in the rec room. Sure, I could watch TV. Sure, lunch would arrive at noon sharp. But nothing felt like it mattered. Nothing had weight. Nothing pulled me forward. Back home, even my small routines had meaning. Feeding the birds in the backyard. Tending to the tomato plants. Calling my old army buddy just to hear him complain about the weather. I didn't realize how much of my energy came from those tiny frictions of everyday life. The effort, the decision-making, the being needed. Here, everything was frictionless. Everything was taken care of. Everything ran smooth. And slowly, I stopped feeling alive. Because being alive isn't about not having problems. It's about having a reason to keep moving, even when things are hard. I remember hearing a quote once: "A ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for." And it hit me hard. Because here I was, safe, yes, but moored, motionless. Drifting in circles, no wind, no horizon, no destination, just waiting. I saw it in others too. Faces once full of stories, now blank, gazing at nothing. People who used to talk about their grandkids now just talked about the weather. Conversations dulled, eyes dimmed, not because of age, not because of illness, because the spark went out. So if you're thinking about a move like this, ask yourself honestly, do I want to feel safe or do I want to feel alive? Because there's a difference, and no one tells you until you're already on the inside. Sometimes what looks like peace is just a slow, quiet kind of fading. Regret number 7. I didn't realize leaving would be so hard. When I moved in, I told myself it wasn't forever. Try it for a few months, I thought. If it doesn't feel right, I'll go back. No big deal. It gave me a sense of control, the idea that this was my choice, not a trap. I even kept a box packed in my closet. My house key was still on my key ring. I told my son not to get rid of anything just yet. But months passed, and everything began to change, around me and inside me. My old house, empty, dusty, quiet, the garden overgrown. My neighbors stopped waving. They weren't sure if I still lived there. Eventually, my son said it wasn't safe to leave it sitting empty, and he started renting it out. My furniture? Gone? My books? Donated? My favorite radio, the one I'd listened to since 1989, disappeared in a box somewhere. We thought you wouldn't need it anymore, Dad. And maybe I wouldn't have, if I truly felt at home here. But I didn't. And then there was me. The man who had walked in with a cane now needed a wheelchair for longer distances. The man who could cook himself dinner now got winded tying his shoes. The man who said, "If it doesn't work out, I'll leave," had started to doubt whether he still could. Not because I wasn't allowed, but because I wasn't sure I was capable. That's what no one tells you. Leaving a place like this isn't just about packing a bag. It's about rebuilding a life that's already started slipping through your fingers. It's about logistics. It's about health. It's about confidence. And the longer you stay, the more the outside world starts to feel like a stranger's house. One woman here, Margaret, told me she tried to move back in with her daughter after 2 years here. She was back in assisted living 3 months later. "Too hard," she said. "I wasn't myself out there anymore." And I understood. So if you're standing on that edge, thinking you can just try it, ask yourself, what if I never feel strong enough to leave once I'm in? What will I lose while I'm waiting to make up my mind? Because assisted living isn't a revolving door. It's a threshold. And once you cross it, the path back isn't always clear or possible. Final thoughts. I don't regret growing old. I regret believing I had no other choice. Getting older didn't scare me. What scared me, and still does, is how easily I gave away the pieces of myself because it felt like the only option. I didn't question it. I didn't fight for more support at home. I didn't look for alternatives because I was tired, and everyone around me was telling me that this was the smart, safe, sensible thing to do. And in some ways, they were right. Here I'm safe, I'm cared for, I'm okay. But I'm not really living. Not the way I used to. Not the way I want to. So if you're standing where I once stood, at that turning point, wondering if assisted living is your next step, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I am here to say, don't rush. Don't assume. Don't let comfort disguise itself as the end of the road. There might be other paths. Home care, a helper once a week, a neighbor. A little bit of help without giving up your whole life. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly can't go on as I am? Or because I'm afraid to ask for what I really need? Because once you walk through these doors, the life you had starts to fade. Not instantly, not all at once, but day by day, until you look in the mirror and realize you're not the person who made that decision anymore. I've shared all this not to frighten you, but to give you what I never had. A voice on the other side. Someone saying, here's what it really feels like. Because I wish someone had said this to me. And if hearing it now helps even one person slow down, rethink, reclaim something, then maybe that's the best thing I've done in a long, long time. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below. Tell me what part stayed with you, or what decision you're facing. And if you want more honest stories about aging, independence, and the quiet choices no one talks about, subscribe. We're building a space where these voices still matter. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself, and don't give your life away too soon.